Look at that big black mass curdling around.
Hey guys, this is your host Richard with another marvelous video. With that creepy crawly parasite in his bloody head, the show is kinda setting him up for his death, but I don't think Billy will die anytime soon. While I explain the disease Billy is suffering from and how it could affect him and the show, I'll also dive into the worst outcome of his diagnosis. Will he really die, or will he almost die because of the Temp V he's been taking but actually survive? So yeah, if you're a curious cat like me, this is the place. Needless to say, this is gonna be a spoiler-heavy video. Let's begin. Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin. Is the parasite in Butcher's head souped up? Have you heard something called cutaneous larva migrans? Well, it's this pretty disgusting disease that's caused by a parasite called Strongyloidestra coralis, which is also called a hookworm. Cutaneous larva migrans, also known as creeping eruption, is an infection caused by various types of hookworms. It's usually picked up from animal feces in the soil, with the larvae getting into humans through skin contact. But there's yet another form of infection called the Strongyloidestra coralis infection. Here, one can see fast-moving skin tracts called larvae currents. The reason why I'm talking about this particular infection is that it looks creepingly similar to the parasite that Billy Butcher has on his head. At the end of the first episode of Season 4, we get a good look at the worm, or shall I say, the worm-like parasite, crawling inside Butcher's skin. This thing was absolutely creepy, and definitely became one of the biggest WTF moments of the first 3 episodes that were released. Needless to say, the parasite is the direct result of Billy using V24, also called Temp V. Although Temp V served as an equalizer where it leveled the playing field in favor of the boys, everybody knew that V24 has some serious side effects that could often be lethal. Among the boys, Billy was the one who overused V24. It didn't take long for the power-enhancing serum to show its true colors. What started for Billy as headaches and nausea turned into something much worse as time passed. By the time Season 4 started, Butcher's head was home to a creepy crawly worm. Hell, even Homelander now knows that there's a blob in Butcher's head. I feel bad for poor Ryan, thinks of Butcher as the one thing that his mother loved. So, Butcher's death wouldn't be easy on him. Anyway, is it possible that the V24 he took actually gave powers to the worms he had inside him from before? I mean, most humans have some kind of worms living in their guts, right? So, I think it's quite possible that the worms inside Billy got some kind of an upgrade. Now, you may think I'm just speculating about this, but no, something similar happened in the animated show Diabolical with a character named Sun He. Let's find out what exactly happened there. Is the parasite sentient? So, Sun He was suffering from a serious case of pancreatic cancer. Without an imminent cure, her death was pretty much certain. So John, her husband, did what any self-respecting and loving husband in the boys' universe would do. He stole Compound V from Vought. Sun He received the dose of V, and it wasn't before long that she found herself cured of her ailment. However, it came at a cost. Not to her, but a cost nonetheless. You see, the cancerous tumor in her pancreas found sentience and left her body as an independent entity. Immediately after, it escaped into the nearby forest, where it devoured some fresh wildlife and grew in size. As a sentient being, the tumor developed its own will. Yeah, but it could also generate tentacles that could catch incoming bullets and slash people like a hot knife cuts through butter. A few armed men who were sent to control the being had to face the brunt of this tentacled monster. Now, coming to Butcher, do I think the parasite within Butcher is sentient? Well, maybe. What do you think? Before you answer that question in the comments, let's talk a little more about it so that we have some perspective. You see, Butcher in the show is talking to Becca. Well, he's hallucinating Becca, but the things she's saying to him are filled with sense and sensibilities. I believe the parasite is somehow enhancing the part of Butcher's brain that's responsible for memories and thoughts. Butcher in his right mind would never do stuff like crossing Huey for his personal gain. I mean, that's the deal he made with Victoria Newman, her files from the Red River, in exchange for her help. However, Butcher couldn't bring himself to go ahead with such a thing after having a word with Becca. While the parasite may or not be sentient, it's definitely V-powered, and that could only mean that Butcher is bound to do some crazy shit down the line. In the comics, Butcher dies at the hands of Huey, but that might not be his fate in the show. However, the larger question that remains is, will he die? Will Butcher die, or will he take permanent V? Well, I think he'd be doing both. I mean, think about it. Billy's character is pretty damn important to be killed off in Season 4. Although a bit anti-heroic, he's one of the characters who are driving the entire show, much like Homelander. Having said that, the makers have kinda treaded on complicated grounds by giving him this deadly diagnosis. So, how do they take care of this whole Temp V stuff? How do they address it? Well, before I put forth my theory behind it, let me shed light on something else first. So, the whole arc when it comes to Butcher is about him becoming more and more of exactly what he hates. And what does he hate? Soups. So my guess is that Butcher will either die or reach a point where he's about to die. After this, Compound V will come into the picture. In the comics, Compound V has the power to revive dead soups. So, since the Temp V cancer bullshit genie can't be put back into the bottle, they'll have to come up with a way to deal with it in a manner that doesn't harm the already established story. He'll take the permanent V, or someone might give it to him, which would cure the issue of his present diagnosis, but it may spiral him down a worse path. I mean, Butcher is a tough survivor. He doesn't give up easy, but he's as single-minded as a raging bull when it comes to what he wants. Throughout the second and third seasons, they've prepared him to become a soup, a fate that's pretty different from his fate in the comics. So, I believe he'd not really die before he completes this story arc. Maybe at the end of now confirmed Season 5 he might just die for good, but I don't think he's gonna meet the silence of the grave any time before that. You may tell me if you differ from this view. It's quite possible that they make Butcher take the permanent V in the next few episodes, and the rest of the season would see him trying to take down the members of the Seven, or at least Homelander. I also think that the last season might be about Butcher trying to use the soup virus from Gen V to kill all of them in a soup genocide, and the others would try to prevent that from happening. Maybe Ryan would be one of the people who fights a superpowered Butcher. Whatever it is, I don't think that Butcher will die of a bloody disease on his deathbed, crying and coughing. He's someone who needs to go down as a warrior. Maybe he'd finally go down fighting his own men or an army of soups, as shown in the comics. Maybe he'd die in the line of fire while trying to save Ryan. What do you think? And if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one, and be safe. Thanks, everyone.